This is a tale of the courage, determination, and resilience of remarkable people in 6 cities around the globe, and the progress of the groundbreaking Fast Track Cities initiative, led by IAPAC and UNAIDS. This film is about progress. Working with IAPAC and Gilead Sciences, we highlight the unique challenges, barriers, and successes faced daily in the fast-track cities of Atlanta, Kiev, Nairobi, London, Bangkok, and Sao Paulo on their journey to attaining the UNAIDS 1990 targets, then getting to 0 new HIV infections and 0 AIDS-related deaths. Representatives from key populations, including transgender women, men who have sex with men, people of colour, women and girls, people who inject drugs, and sex workers, all of whom have faced stigma and discrimination, share their stories as they act locally to ensure no one is forgotten or left behind in our global efforts to end the HIV epidemic by 2030.
The Fast Track Cities initiative was launched on World AIDS Day 2014 by 4 core partners, including UNAIDS, UN Habitat, the City of Paris, and IAPAC. And our engagement with the initiative is to assist cities and municipalities around the world to attain the 90-90-90 targets that were set by the UN in 2014. 90-90-90 translates into 90% of people living with HIV/AIDS knowing their status, 90% of those people who know their status on antiretroviral therapy, and 90% of people who are on antiretroviral therapy achieving viral suppression. Largely because of urbanization trends, by 2050, 6 of every 10 people will live in cities or municipalities.
We've seen the HIV epidemic go from being a near certain death sentence to, for many people, being a manageable chronic disease. Yet in some places we see true disparities.
Many cities and municipalities had drafted city AIDS plans decades ago that had collected dust on shelves for quite a number of years. So the 90-90-90 targets and the Fast Track Cities initiative specifically has served as a catalyst for getting those plans dusted off, updated, and focused on programmatic targets that allow for the accountability that communities expect.
6 cities, 5 continents, 1 goal: ending HIV. Here are their stories.
We're gonna try it. We're gonna be really bold here and hope we don't die. All right, start live video, and now. What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Morris. Welcome to another edition of Positive to Positive. It is Saturday, June 15th. It's payday. I know. You got paid over midnight. Give me 5. I need 5 on it. Hey, it's my 13-year anniversary happening on June 23rd. Y'all made me a promise that you were going to get tested. I need 13 people right now who are not at 503 Boulevard Southeast, Atlanta, Georgia, 30312. I need you to go to the crib. I need you to go get tested. I need you to get your results. I need you to find out what you can do to take control of your life.
Atlanta, one of the first US cities to join the Fast Track Cities initiative in 2015, is dealing with long-standing social and other challenges that have hampered its HIV response. Encouragingly, 84% of people living with HIV know their status, 87% of whom are on HIV treatment, and 82% of them have achieved viral suppression. Closing the knowledge gap, as well as the treatment and prevention gaps, requires strong community-based interventions, meeting people where they are when they are available.
Well, while many across the United States believe HIV is a thing of the past, well, in Fulton County, we know that's not the case.
Atlanta is now, I would say, the epicenter of the epidemic in the United States. Over the last several years, the epidemic has moved to be primarily in the South. 52% of new infections are occurring in the South. And when you look at the most affected cities in the United States, 6 of the top 10 are in the South, where most of the new infections are occurring. And Atlanta's currently number 2.
We've got an epidemic among Black and gay young men where up to the age of 35, 1 in 2 is expected to be positive. I'm not confused that, especially for those of us on this side of town, our lives are more concomitant and in parallel with some of our brothers and sisters in the global South than we are with our brothers and sisters in the US North and West. I could tell you right now, if we walked out on the street and asked 10 people, what do you know about undetectable equals untransmittable? What do you know about PrEP? What do you know about the latest HIV test? 10 out of 10 people would say, what?
I think last year in the state of Georgia, it was roughly 700 deaths of people living with HIV. 50% or half of those people, died of HIV complications. There's only 365 days in the year. One person died every day with HIV in this state. We have to do something to fix that.
So this is Thrive SS. This is headquarters. We call it HQ for short. Thrive, we've grown. Oh my gosh. To be in this area is very intentional. To be in this area is to be around African Americans, which represent the largest number of HIV infections. This is the Resource Center. We have a place where people can come and work, can come do applications, can come check emails. All the things that you may not have access to. Again, these are the barriers that keep us from getting health care. You can't live in Georgia and not come outside. You gotta soak up some of this heat, but this back here is a shaded area. We get a chance to sit in the shade, enjoy the sun, enjoy the warmth. The Thrive Glee Club, I originated that. There are a lot of people who can sing, and there are a lot of people who express themselves through music. And what better way than to open that up to have your friends and your family and your loved ones sing with you.
We know treatment works. If you give a person living with HIV antiretroviral therapy, you support them in taking it daily, 9 times out of 10, they will become undetectable, If you're not seeing people from 8 to 4 and you change your hours from 4 p.m. to 8 and you start seeing people, oh, well, that's that. If you have people who say hi to you at the front desk, minus a plexiglass, if you have people not calling you out your name or misgendering you, it's not rocket science.
I'm already looking at women who are not getting diagnosed, who are not getting access to services because they're not on the radar.
I'm still convinced that we need to continue looking for novel approaches of how to do this. I think we need to get the clinic out to the community. I think we need to have clinics open in non-traditional hours. I think we need to have clinics in places where we normally haven't had them in the past.
My favorite song that I've done with the Glee Club is I Need You to Survive. It's a song that was originated by Hezekiah Walker and his choir. And the song simply says, I need you, you need me. We all need each other to survive. And it's so beautiful because when we sung it, it's such a popular song in the African American community, especially church community, that they begin to sing with us. And it's in unison, so everybody can sing it and it's not a problem. And it meant so much when we sung it for the first time, tears, that it was a feeling that I can't explain because it was so much love in that room, and how it made us feel to see our brothers singing to each other that we love each other. That was a good feeling. Great song.
Well, truthfully, you never want to go into a fight alone. So it helps us to know that communities around the globe are also fighting HIV. And the Fast Track Cities program gives us the opportunity to share best practices.
We are nowhere near our targets on our care continuum. And that's what I think is the benefit of Fast Track Cities, is it gives us a chance to learn from other common spaces what they have done so that maybe there's something we can adopt.
In my time in public service, I can look back and see how far we've come in the fight against stigma, for example. We have new medications that help people live longer, and other medicines that prevent HIV transmission altogether. Now, while people sadly are still dying of AIDS in Fulton County, many other people are living successful lives with HIV in Fulton County. And also, people here in Fulton County continue to be energized about the fight. We have much more to do, but we are ready, we're willing, and able to end AIDS by 2030.
Антону Басенко в это воскресенье я буду крестить здесь ребенка, его ребенка. И мы напишем в Фейсбуке пост, что он находится на заместительной терапии, он ВИЧ-позитивный. И мы крестили ему здесь ребенка. И я очень счастлив, что он именно здесь его покрестил, что это доверие с его стороны мне. И мы сделаем множество фотографий, это будет тоже адвокаси. И там будет история Антона, и что его ребенок здоров, он родился, и программы, благодаря которым он выжил, ему помогли, и церковь с ним вот вместе.
A fast-track city since 2016, 73% of people living with HIV in Kiev today know their status, 73% of whom are on HIV treatment, and 96% of them are achieving viral suppression. Pioneers in Eastern Europe, those in Kiev have adapted policies and strategies to fit the cultural and religious landscape, which has made all the difference.
Історія епідемії непроста. І до 2013 року в столиці, як і у всій країні, спостерігалось дуже стрімке розповсюдження ВІЛ-інфекцій серед груп найбільшого ризику. Це чоловіки, які мають секс з чоловіками, це і чоловіки також. І, звісно, це люди, які вживають наркотики ін'єкційно.
Стан епідемії ВІЧ-інфекції в Києві остається один із самих високих по всій Україні. А стан криміналізації, звісно ж, негативно впливає на поширення ВІЛ-інфекції. Це закриває проблему, вона виходить з-під нашого офіційного контролю. І це, звісно ж, зазвичай негативно впливає на епідемію від ВІЛ-інфекції.
Talking about community I represent, people who inject drugs or people who use drugs, the estimate number of people who inject drugs in Ukraine is 350,000 people. Only 65% of them covered with the prevention programs. I was diagnosed in 2003 when I was 23. I was diagnosed both HIV and hepatitis C. I was upset, I was devastated, I was confused. Because I had lack of information, adequate information about HIV for that moment, and the only question in my head was how soon I will die. That was the beginning of my story of living with these two diseases.
Я был первым и единственным священником, который вошел в государственные советы по профилактике ВИЧ-инфекции. В Украине не принято, нет традиции, чтобы священник рекомендовал презерватив. И я показал, что религиозные организации могут профессионально работать в ВИЧ-сервисе. Создал хорошую модель взаимодействия государственного сектора, общественного сектора и религиозных организаций в Херсоне. Мэр не является доктором, он единственный мэр в Украине, который просто говорит, это нужно делать. Я полностью за.
Для того, щоб зробити послуги ще більш доступними, Київ запровадив електронну систему e-Health в рамках ініціативи Smart City. Кількість пацієнтів на ПрЕП збільшилась 3 рази. Ми швидко рухаємось в напрямку наших цілей 90, 90, 90.
On an average week, we would expect around 500 teenagers to go through our doors for different services. Some of them come to lectures, and lectures are very different from, what to do if my partner is HIV positive, or how to disclose my HIV status, or how to use a condom, how to wear a condom. They can just come for HIV testing, and HIV testing, we are laughing because we have the most Instagrammable spot in Kiev. A lot of opinion leaders come here to film a story, how they get tested and the results and everything. We wanted to make it more fashionable, that people are testing and it's okay, and it's not threatening experience, it's not stressful experience.
Вперше, що було наслідком цієї роботи, і є наслідком цієї роботи, напевно, це довіра. Довіра між пацієнтом і між державою, містом, про те, що людина не залишається наодинці. Це найголовніше. І зараз результати, ми зараз якраз набрали хід по виконанню безпосередньо програми і завдань.
Единственное, что я хочу сказать, я хочу обратиться ко всему населению нашего города Киева, нашей Украины, и сказать, что сейчас не надо думать, что ВИЧ-инфекции нет, что эта проблема надумана. Нет, это все неправда. Чем раньше человек узнает о своем статусе, тем больше шансов у медицинского работника спасти этому человеку жизнь.
Yes, we are optimistic. We believe that things are getting better because we have treatment, we have quick tests. We didn't have them 15 years ago. To do something like, safe sex point together with the city council? No way. And it's possible today. But a lot of challenges ahead of us, It's not that lines of people are coming here and say, please tell us something about safe sex. No, we have to find these people, find the way how to talk to them. And every day it's a new format and we don't know what is coming tomorrow. But we are open and we are ready.
Могу сказать, что в Киеве хорошо. Если международные организации и правительство Украины поймет важную роль религиозных организаций в преодолении эпидемии, успех будет.
Yes, mimi na madeni mabeshte. Lakini kuna level hatutafikisha. Na unajua kuna level yenye nikiongea na nyinyi hapa nitawakommuniketia yenye mama yako akikuongelesha utaona huyu ni mzazi, unaona? And mzazi akikuongelesha kama mzazi haiwezi kuwa na hiyo impact kama ya vile pia anaweza akakuongelesha.
Nairobi has made great strides since joining the Fast Track Cities network in 2014. With 77% of people living with HIV today knowing their status, 99% of whom are on HIV treatment, and 92% of them having achieved viral suppression. Giving young women a voice and peer support is part of Nairobi's strategy to close the remaining gaps and eliminate new HIV infections in underserved communities.
Nairobi is a county which has approximately a population of 5 million people, and 60% of this population, of course, live in informal settlements.
Dandora is a slum area, and you find that girls get into unwanted relationships, maybe for love, or maybe food, or maybe just to have that security of having a boyfriend, and a boyfriend who is known, a boyfriend who can defend you if someone tries to harm you. So many factors in my community make girls at risk, put girls at risk and vulnerable to HIV.
Most of the time, we saw women coming to hospitals, and initially we thought that it was because women were being diagnosed at the antenatal clinic. When we did a study on the epidemic, we realized that women are disproportionately affected, and we have 7.6% or almost 8% of women population living with HIV and about 4.5% of men population living with HIV.
Sasa, nimekuwa na HIV for almost 27 years now. Na hii safari ni ngumu. Si rahisi. Ni ngumu sana. Juu, mi at some point niliacha dawa miaka 2. Nikasema nimechoka, nimepona. Nikapata pneumonia. Si unajua ukichoka na kupona unachokanga na kupona kwa akili yako. Lakini in real life haujachoka na haujapona. My doctors only told me you're going to take this medication for the rest of your life. After you step outside of that door, you're on your own. And when you're on your own, you'll reach home and you look at your ARVs and you're like, do I really need to take them today? At some point, I had to default from my ARVs for 2 years. And it was because I did not have that support. That is the reason why we need the positive young women voices, so that you can come here and it makes everything sane. It makes everything look all right, even if your whole world is crumbling apart.
So we've come a long way in the fact that treatment is available. If someone is diagnosed with HIV today, they have the option of starting treatment immediately. We still have a long way to go. Stigma still kills more people than the disease itself. We still treat people with HIV like, how did you get it? Why did you get it? We don't do the same for other diseases. For sure, we can't treat our way out of this epidemic. We need to prevent it.
There is a deliberate attempt for HIV programming to keep away from schools and the education sector. And I think the time, if we make meaningful investment in this area, we'll be able to push our numbers forward in terms of adherence, in terms of treatment and care.
I think at the basic education level, if people don't have information, they cannot make decisions. We need to provide for better decision-making at every single level. We always seem to have a fear that if we give people information, they use the information in the wrong way. If we don't give them the information, I think they're even more at risk because then they make blinded decisions that have the potential to do them even more harm.
We still have challenges, especially around treatment preparedness. We are getting more people, but we are not retaining them on treatment. We need to work a lot with adolescent girls and young women, and especially those that are enrolled at the antenatal clinics, because there's no enough treatment preparedness, and hence we lose them. The other ripple effect is that we get children still infected with HIV during birth or during pregnancies, and that, or even during breastfeeding. And that one also shows that we haven't done enough in terms of the second 90.
I think Nairobi has done a good job in terms of ensuring that there is expansion of services and making services available to people where they need it. In metropolitan cities like Nairobi, traveling from one part of the city to the other can be expensive. So you need to make sure that someone can access care at the closest available facility, especially for hard-to-reach populations for the first 90 in terms of testing. Partner notification services has been a very good way of being able to get individuals who don't know their status and get them tested. Provide services, healthcare services, prevention services, promotive services for every citizen that needs them.
So for me, what I would want to see 5 years, 10 years down the line is more investment in the communities where the work where the work really matters. What I think would bring about the irreversible change would be investing in the communities. So I've gotten to realize there are a lot of resources, but they are not reaching out to the communities. We are talking of being 3 years old as an organization, never having core funding, but still working in the community, resourcing from our own pockets. That would like people to really invest in the communities if they really want to see change.
We are hoping to see more women who are empowered, who can stand in front of a camera and say, you know, I'm HIV positive and there's nothing wrong about it. And yeah, that is what we are hoping to see. That we want more empowered women, more encouraged women, more women who have accepted themselves and they're willing to live beyond their challenges.
We're very fortunate to have some artists who are really good friends of THT. So this is I think Keith Haring, who's one of the New York artists, really famous New York artist. But yeah, one of the things that was clear at the time when he painted this was, there was so much ignorance and fear. See that as being actually that if there's silence, there will be death. We have an auction every year at Christie's, and that we get lots of artwork donated. And the Keith Haring Foundation gave us some gorgeous prints.
London. Having already reached the 90-90-90 targets before it became a fast-track city in 2018, London's approach to HIV is a model of innovation. 95% of Londoners living with HIV know their status, 98% of whom are on HIV treatment, and 97% of them have achieved viral suppression. But reaching the city's Getting to Zero goals requires leaving no community behind.
Obviously, it's fantastic that London has achieved those UNAIDS 90-90-90 targets. So I think it's been a real combination effort across the system of both access to highly effective treatment, but also thinking about prevention and raising awareness and ensuring that people are prepared to come forward for testing. And hopefully over time we're seeing a reduction in stigma associated with HIV. That is still an enduring issue that we're trying to tackle through fast-track cities.
We were formed back in 1982. Terry Higgins was one of the first people who was known to have died of an AIDS-related illness back then. And so his partner and friends decided they needed to do something about this strange illness that was affecting people within the gay community at that point in time.
In 1988, when I started working as a doctor on my ward, there were 23 patients, 16 had HIV, I finished that job 6 months later and everyone was dead. So now I work as a GP in London and I've got hundreds of patients on my books. I haven't had a single HIV death in the last 7 years.
This is the Jonathan Mann Clinic. It's a dedicated HIV service. We opened the clinic here in 2013. We refurbished the clinic completely, and we tried to make it a place that is holistic, that meets multiple needs under one roof, where we can have both social care, peer support, clinical support, that meet the needs of people living with HIV. As part of the fundraising, we wanted to try and make a space that was pleasant and that people felt better for having been to spend some time with us. So we have a small garden here. About 60% of the service users are women. Now, nationally, about a third of the people living with HIV are women. So we see far more women and families in this clinic. And that means we've designed it slightly differently. So we hope that it's a place that you can come to with children and feel that your needs are met here.
For me, I think some of the inequalities associated with the HIV agenda for women are not uniquely about HIV. I think much of this represents inequality that they may experience more generally. So some of this is about sort of being, structurally disadvantaged, attitudes to women within particular communities, how empowered they are in terms of their wider sort of health, well-being and choices that they're able to make and the way in which they live their lives. So I think for me it's such a sort of fundamental part of potentially sort of gender inequality generally, actually.
In the UK, women are probably the second largest group of people living with HIV following MSM. Basically, is inequality in power, economic power, social power, and political power. The HIV epidemic has been growing parallel to the epidemic of violence against women. We know that, even in the UK, some studies have shown that there is over a 50% prevalence of violence among women who are HIV positive.
Our key challenges are not just around access. They're around how people live their everyday lives. They're around gender equality. They're around immigration. They're around that four-letter word that we often don't talk about here in the UK, and that's race. We still see this gap in people coming forward and people being tested. And I think that the issue isn't around what the challenges are. The issue is really about what the opportunities could be.
I mean, if you think back to 1987 when the Tombstone advertisement was on television sets all over the country, and that was a really important campaign. The challenge is, for many people, that's still the narrative. HIV hasn't gone away. Don't assume that because you're seeing such dramatic reductions in new diagnoses doesn't mean to say that you can take your foot off the gas pedal.
So I think Fast Track Cities so far has just been a fantastic vehicle for bringing the system together. I think, as I've said before, I think we have been working together in London for a long time, but actually by signing up to the Fast Track Cities initiative, it has really brought all the different stakeholders together under a common commitment that's really galvanising us all to work towards ending the epidemic, essentially.
I am slightly concerned that the present hostile environment that we're creating for people seeking health care, making people think that they may not get treatment free on the NHS, might be putting patients away from seeking treatment, seeking testing. You put people off getting health care, they test late, they present late, and they can pass on that virus.
We face another challenge, which is that PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, works, but at the moment it's only available as part of a clinical trial or if people buy it. We don't yet have universal access to free PrEP for everybody that needs it. We've come so far and so much has changed that I have complete belief that we can continue. But we have to keep fighting and we have to keep going. Here we are in London, where we have a free NHS, we have the London councils, we have the Do It London campaign. We have a mayor who is completely behind the HIV response. We have community and voluntary sector organisations. Globally, parts of the world, some of them have none of those things, and some of them perhaps have only a few of them. And it's shocking that we are in a world of such inequality. London has a responsibility to make sure that we share all the good practice that we have.
This is my lovely nurse. Yeah. He is very, very expert to working on the social media. Tom, yes. Tommy is he is very good of the performer, and also he is the counselor, and also he the person who are running the program for female sex worker. Pin. Yes. This is we try to do the gender balance. Just only we are only two of the female right now. Yeah. Pin. You are female. Okay.
Bangkok, a fast-track city since 2014, Bangkok has made significant progress in its HIV response, thanks to targeted community outreach and education programs that resonate with and are led by key populations. The city's progress includes 92% of people living with HIV knowing their status, 78% of whom are on HIV treatment, and 76% of them having achieved viral suppression.
Talking about the HIV situation here in Thailand, as compared to, let's say, 10 or 15 years ago, there are two differences. Number one is the size of the epidemic. In the past, there was more than 100,000 newly infected people per year. But nowadays, only about 6,000 or 7,000 per year. Besides the number, the population that affected or infected nowadays quite different from the past. In the past, it was mainly sex workers, but nowadays the majority are men having sex with men.
It's always been something that's been really difficult, particularly for men and sex with men, to test because of stigma discrimination, particularly in the facilities.
This clinic is run by the service, the healthcare provider is run by the community people. The community people, that's okay. We get trained from the Thai Red Cross, and also to train how to do testing, how to be a counselor, and then we can every day. We open at 1 p.m. We will have around 30, 35, or some of them we have around 50 of the patient who come to get testing here. Yeah. This is a lab room. Sorry, that is the person who do a quality control. He do everything. He will tell the result to the patient. In the past, okay, we have to wait around 1 week or 2 weeks to refer them to get treatment. Right now, we start to do the same day ART for make sure everything is perfect.
The Tangerine Clinic, which is a community transgender health clinic that we set up here, where transgender people come in for hormone monitoring, because all of them are using hormones, but they never know that the hormones that they use is adequate. So we use hormone monitoring as an entry point for them to have to come for sexual health and HIV services here.
The first 90 to get people to know their HIV status. So that's really good now that at least the first 90 target for getting people to know HIV status is there. But we still don't know whether for the MSM population, then it still needs to be more target.
This part is like a Bangkok map. This is to show this is where it sex worker area where it swing work with them. The pink one, the pink star, that is mean the area where is the male sex worker that swing is running the activity. For the blue star, that is the area for female sex worker that we are working right now. How can we achieve? If we do the fast track, that is mean everyone has to come together. The government and private sector and community, we should be together, and then we will go the same way. We go the same expressway.
getting back 30 years ago, I did not imagine that the situation would be much better like what it is now. Okay, for example, I thought many more people will die from HIV/AIDS, and more people will be infected.
So I don't think Thailand will be able to get to 1990 by the year 2020. But I think that by the year 2030, Thailand will actually definitely be able to kind of get towards that the target.
How can we achieve, if you use the fast track? The fast track, that is mean everyone had to come together. The government and private sector and community, we should be together. And then we will go the same way. We go the same expressway.
I don't think Bangkok or Thailand should shy away from taking a leadership role. What Thailand and Bangkok can really offer to other countries, it's around being looking after the kind of like the key populations, particularly for MSM. We've gone through political upheavals. I hope that now we have Parliament. They'll be able to kind of like put more resources into the community-led organization.
Barong já existe há 23 anos. Ela foi uma das primeiras ONGs a ir às ruas para falar sobre a questão do HIV e AIDS na época. A gente tem muita testagem com a questão da população trans em pontos exatamente de prostituição. A gente tem toda uma estrutura, a gente tem toda a questão de assistência, nós temos enfermeiro, nós temos psicólogos, tem todos os exames. Quando eles têm alguma dúvida, eles podem entrar em contato comigo também.
Teste para hepatite B, C, sífilis, que é pulsão venosa.
É só fazer o HIV, só que é mais rápido.
Pega aqui, por favor. Vai passar na gengiva 4 vezes em cima e 4 vezes embaixo. O dólar está aqui.
Sao Paulo's history as a fast-track city dates back to 2015. A united and inclusive approach to ending its HIV epidemic, supporting those who feel isolated and marginalised is working on the ground in a way that serves as a model for Brazil and the world. Today, 87% of people living with HIV know their status, 72% of whom are on HIV treatment, and 95% of them have achieved viral suppression.
A população geral tem em torno de 0,4% de pessoas infectadas, mas se fôssemos olhar para os grupos específicos que nós chamamos aqui de população-chave, nós teríamos uma concentração 1000 vezes maior na população trans, que tem em torno de 32% a 36% de HIV.
Eu venho trabalhando com esse assunto, com o combate da epidemia, o enfrentamento da epidemia aqui do HIV no Brasil. Eu percebi que muitos dos meus amigos, muitos dos meus ex-namorados da última década tinham se infectado com HIV. Estava vendo que tinha um problema grandão ali para ser resolvido e que as pessoas que eram as vulneráveis a essa epidemia não estavam muito prestando atenção no assunto.
O que é muito difícil para uma pessoa trans quando ela perde apoio da família e apoio de outras instituições.
Estou nesse espaço desde o começo. A casa foi inaugurada no dia 1º de março de 2016. São 3 anos e 4 meses. É uma trajetória de bastante vitória, com um olhar um pouco mais humanizado. Ao todo já passaram 282 meninas. Desse grupo, 68 conseguiram uma saída qualificada. Muitas vezes a identidade trans ou travesti, ela tem muitos direitos violados. A pessoa, ela não consegue ser o que ela é. Então, se fez necessário ter um espaço como esse, que ainda é pequeno, porque é um número só de 30, para que tenha uma visibilidade maior para essa população, que é tão norteada de tanto preconceito e violada de tantos direitos. É você tratar como humano, sem diferenças. Eu acho que é você respeitar as narrativas, as histórias. Você começa a participar de todo esse processo. Talvez não tendo vivenciado aquelas histórias, você começa a ter uma compreensão mais ampla quando você simplesmente pratica a escuta.
E
Essa questão assim do HIV, na verdade, eu acho que ela tá ligada também com uma questão assim delas não se tratarem porque desejam a morte, né? Porque afinal de contas, se for para viver dessa forma e nessa questão desse submundo e dentro desse submundo ainda conviver com preconceito, então eu acho que muitas das vezes elas buscam realmente a morte. Sofrer esse preconceito, ter essa discriminação, na verdade eu acho que o desejo delas realmente é a morte. Porque na cabeça de muitas transexuais, a morte era o fim, assim, dessa dor.
É um alívio, né?
É um alívio.
É um alívio. Tipo assim, acontece de uma trans morrer, aí muitas falam assim.
Obrigado, minha Flor. Continua com a sua força, assim, sendo essa referência pra gente.
Para agora, tipo, 10, 15 anos depois que eu já terminei tudo e eu trabalhei por esse tempo todo com homens gays e bissexuais e mulheres trans com HIV, acho que uma coisa que mudou bastante foi o quanto eu percebi que a parte técnica da questão, a parte testagem, medicamento, camisinha em si, isso é apenas parte da história. Que existe toda a questão de exclusão social que tem que ser abordada também.
A cidade de São Paulo assinou o Acordo de Paris, que é o acordo do Fast Track Cities 90-90-90, enfim, que a cidade possa ser referência no tratamento, possa ser referência, se dá certo numa cidade com 12 milhões de habitantes, dá certo em outras cidades também, Brasil afora e mundo afora.
Mas eu imagino que o entrave para conseguir alcançar os 90-90-90 seria, então, uma articulação entre o desenvolvimento social, a saúde e os direitos humanos, se fortalecendo em utilizar todos os programas já criados e melhorá-los ao ponto de fazer com que as pessoas tenham um suporte que diminua a desigualdade e que propicie para essas pessoas trans um ambiente de saúde com menos discriminação e com mais acolhimento.
É porque faz muito pouco tempo, agora 1 ou 2 semanas, que acabou se decidir que no Brasil homofobia e transfobia agora é um crime. Isso é uma grande, grande transformação no Brasil, é uma grande mudança, uma mudança para melhor. E eu não tenho dúvida de que essa mudança vai ajudar positivamente no controle do HIV. Então estamos muito felizes.
Eu me sinto parte da história dessa luta contra a AIDS e eu acredito que estamos chegando perto do fim. Tenho esperanças que a gente vai conseguir chegar às metas, alcançar essas metas do 90-90-90 e, inclusive, zerar a quantidade de novas infecções.
Significant progress has been made in our efforts to close gaps that hinder local HIV responses. And there is hope and a realistic chance of ending HIV by 2030. However, more needs to be done to overcome these remaining challenges, with complacency serving as our greatest enemy.
There was a time when we could not have imagined that we would be in the place where we are, where the top scientists in the world agree that if people are on treatment or they're taking preventive methods, we can actually stop the virus, that we can end this. And that makes me feel happier than I could ever have imagined feeling about this epidemic and this situation. What saddens me is that not all people have an equal opportunity to take advantage of the science.
Much needs to be done to end HIV as a public health threat by 2030, inclusive of addressing the significant barrier that stigma and discrimination and prejudice against people living with HIV continues to represent globally, including in the global north, where almost 4 decades into the epidemic, we would have expected it to no longer occur. We also need to ensure, though, that we leave no one behind as we try to get more people diagnosed, onto treatment, and virally suppressed. And as important, we need to make people aware of the variety of HIV prevention activities or tools that we have at our disposal to stop the acquisition of HIV. Those elements together are what I call the calculus for success in ending an epidemic. What I'm excited about is that, at least at urban level, the political will, the public health leadership the financing and the engagement, active engagement of communities affected by HIV is very much present. And so if I look at ending AIDS as a public health threat by 2030 within urban centers, I'm extremely hopeful.
6 cities, 5 continents, one goal: ending HIV. This story is not finished, but incredible progress has been made, and all credit to you, Atlanta, Kiev, Nairobi, London, Bangkok, and Sao Paulo. Power to you and your communities, and only together we will end the global HIV epidemic.